Yeah, we got sports shorts and more today.
Is that right?
That's right. In fact, we're on the air right now. It will not be you eating your lunch. You're fine. How's everybody doing? Welcome. Good to see everybody. We got a nice audience today. We got a lot to cover. I know when it comes to sports fans, the Recovery Center's got some huge sports fans here. And we're going to talk a little sports, but we're also going to talk, a little bit about. I always like to take a few excerpts from the John Wooden book, so that we can have a little takeaway on, just character and values and things like that. Something that John Wooden was well known for. Yes, Melvin, you got a question?
You put in a special request, I guess, to the umbrella organization, trying to get a reset of how he really got hurt.
A special request of the video of when Joe got hurt. You can find that on probably YouTube. I can help you after class find that.
They said I'm telling you, they taken it out.
Did they? I'll tell you what. After class, we'll take a look. I'll see if I can help you find it.
I saw last night, like they showed some images of him getting hurt, but they showed another a player on top of him. So I just want to know, like, he got hurt. He got hurt. And I keep thinking, potentially, and they don't want nobody to know because they're doing a lot of time and everything now.
Well, I mean, I will say the NFL's been pretty good about protecting quarterbacks, and I think if they thought it was intentional, they would levy a fine. And I haven't heard of any fines for the hit. It was just one of those things where, the guy came in, somewhat low, but the guy on the other side of Burrow was it was the wrong place at the wrong time. And I saw one clip of it. And I'm gonna say it was not a dirty play. It was just the Redskins got good pressure, and I think one of our linemen actually gave the defensive lineman a push that caused him to go into Joe Burrow. And then there was a defender on the other side. So when you've got a knee or a leg, you got force from this direction, and an obstacle or a body or force in this direction. The knee can only absorb so much.
Burrow.
Talking about Joe Burrow, yeah. So. Well, I found it interesting that the game, when we were watching it, they wouldn't show the replay again because it wasn't as bad as what people made. It wasn't like Dak Prescott's, or when you go back many, many years, like Joe Theismann's injury, that was gruesome.
When Pittsburgh broke Coleman's leg, they kept showing that.
Yeah.
He kind of found it.
Yeah, this was different in that I don't think he went. If you think about the NFL rules, he did not go so low that it would have constituted a fine, from what I could tell. And the fact that he was pushed, I think, by our lineman, he had no control over where he was going to land.
Mm-hmm.
So, unfortunately, we're going to have to move forward with what we have at quarterback. And, why don't we talk about yesterday's game for a minute? They lost, 1917?
Yeah, they lost again.
But they had a chance. They were in it. They had the ball at the end of the game, and all they needed was a field goal to win it.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. You got a coach. He said, okay, I'll be my job. But he's calling fighting. He's calling all the time. So when they lose the game, he's responsible for that.
So you thinking the responsibility falls on Zach Taylor as the coach?
Anytime you got a third one, you're going to catch ball way downfield.
So I think that there is blame that can go all across the board. So whenever you've got a team like the Bengals, who've had years and years of losing now. It was about 4 years in a row, I think, of and no playoff wins since about 1990, 1991. There's enough blame to go around. But if you want to focus on the last 4 years, it's a couple things. I agree with you, Melvin. Coaching's a part of it. Okay, you've got to have the right systems in place. You got to have the right guy to motivate guys to get them to play at their best. So that's one piece of it. You've got to have general managers who find the right players to fit that system and who are top-notch athletes. But then also those guys got to come together and play well. The coaches and the general managers aren't on that field throwing the football and catching the football and running with it. Those guys got to perform too. So the blame can go all the way around the board. But to me, it always starts at the top. Yes.
Now, this is when they all was playing collective ball. Offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, everybody was playing collective ball. That's when the first game they played with the Seattle. That was the best game they ever played. That was this year.
Oh, no, that was the first game last year. First game last year, they played Seattle,
Yeah,
and they lost. Yeah. So,
and they played all the way down to the line. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's collective ball. And now you see the guy who got a plan right on the defense, safeties in the corner. That's what we was talking about last night in Kansas City. And Buccaneers.
yeah.
Then all of a sudden, the game turned around. I don't know if anybody knows it. The game turned around. The guy was like, that was a roughing the passer. Look, it wasn't that the guy just touched his toe. He started calling all that crazy stuff.
Well, we'll talk about some of these other games in just a minute. I'll say hi to Linda. She's joining us online. Going back to what you're saying, Melvin, about the coaching. Here's where I stand on it. If somebody's calling for Zach Taylor to be fired, I would disagree with that. I think that last year he gets a pass because they clearly did not have the talent that other teams have. Okay. This year, the goal was, are we better in making progress compared to last year? My goal was this year, I thought they could get 6 wins. Okay. That's not going to happen now that Joe Burrow's out. Oh, they are, what are they? I think they have 5 games left. So, listen, without Joe Burrow, they probably are not going to win any of the remaining games. Do they have a chance? Maybe. But
he looks good. But you gotta be mobile. You gotta move around.
So he's got, he hasn't played in a long time. So, he may need work some rust off. But I think for this year, Zach Taylor, in my eyes, gets a pass because, he lost the franchise quarterback. Were they making progress compared to last year? Yes. Doesn't mean he's definitively the coach of the future, but I think you have to give him one more year, and how he does next year, I think then determines, whether he should, whether he's an NFL coach right now or not. He may not be an NFL coach now, but in a couple of years maybe he will be, or maybe next year he proves that he's ready for, the job that he has. Yes, Mel.
I used to play football myself, but I learned from the NFL what they do. Especially a college guy come out there, a college guy already know by his own intuition. When the defense is something like that, coming to the front, he got to roll out. See, that's what he wasn't doing. So I'm saying, the coach must not be talking to him. He must not be doing, look, when the defense goes, say that, he kept running next is something else, right?
Yeah.
Right? Okay, he got hurt, but he started running wide. See, when you run wide, they pick up additional speed. Just like when we came back. But no,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You gotta run everybody wide and make the defense come up off the toe, from left to right. See, you know what I'm saying to myself? Well, he must not be talking to him. Now, when they put up that fight with The one that went in overtime, nobody won that game.
Philadelphia.
Oh, yeah, put up
They was
Yeah.
down, safeties and the corners, they was down. Like they patched it up real good. Then if you look around, same thing happened. Number 24, the safety. Dude got him again for a touchdown. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He came right back with a big play. You know what I'm saying?
Well, when you, I don't know, Michael Morgan, if you agree or disagree with me on Zach Taylor, but because I saw you shake your head before, but what I'll say is when you think about it, look, he's the coach that beat Tennessee, who's in first place in their division, and the Bengals looked like that day they could beat anybody in the league. But then they show up against Pittsburgh, and they didn't even put up a fight. So it's hard to figure out which team and which coach, is he, ready now to continue in that role?
I agree with you, Greg, but the team's sorry.
The team is sorry.
That's not on him.
That's on. Well, but it's all up to the coaches to get players ready too. So.
But see, thing is, his strategy is just ain't getting nowhere right now. See it press off the block. Now, when you get out being pressed off the block, I guess we're gonna say something. The same thing when we like, y'all don't watch our star player and paid all that money for. They about boasting about how good he was, and he boasting about himself. You see, they set him up real pretty and got him out of position for a little bit. Then we got this other little dojo.
So, but it's also on the general managers that if they don't win another game the rest of the year, that's on the general manager to me as well, because part of their job is to find a good quality backup quarterback. And if you've gone, and think about the years we've had quarterbacks hurt, we had Andy Dalton, who's been out for a while, and we struggled, and now Joe Burrow's out. And if we're only capable of scraping together, two wins through all those games, that tells me the front office isn't finding the right backup quarterback. They do have a game coming up this week. I don't know. You tell me. You seem like you know who they're playing. Tony, who is it? The Dolphins. That's right. Miami. Yeah.
Miami Dolphins.
We're gonna play them Sunday.
He might be a little big swamp on his butt. You know what I mean? But they may take him down a little bit.
Yeah.
You win that game, you ain't got no outside.
If they win that game, we'll see what happens.
Not him, but you have Joe Burrow.
But the backup.
Yeah, or you did it over here.
Melvin, what do you got for me?
I'm looking at it like this. Remember how the Bengals started off? They had no you. You can see that they could run it. They did, just took a loss, right? Then they got the quarterback and foul, right? Down here. Okay, so everybody think everything's gonna change, right? But see, as a result of not winning this year, they're gonna make them get all the college points coming out of college. I'm telling you.
That's going to be, and Melvin, you're right. That's going to be the one blessing for next year is that if, let's just say, the odds are, if for the rest of the year, they probably aren't going to win another game. If they do, they beat Dallas or maybe they win a game. Okay, Bengals. They probably end up with about the third pick in the draft. And there's a guy out there in Oregon who's like your next 10-year all-pro tackle waiting to be drafted, which is exactly what they need. So,
Here's the deal. We make this playoff, we ain't nobody got nothing to say. We come to the playoff, like we get full and full and we're so
yeah. But we'll have a lot to talk about. They can make the playoffs sometime. Yeah. Well, I don't like to always be so negative. Oh, wait a minute. Ebony, you got your hand up? What you got, Ebony?
What about the Browns?
Well, we'll talk about the Browns in just a minute. Are you a Brown? Ebony, are you a Browns fan? All right.
Browns, they won that game, didn't they? I know that deja vu. What about you? Deja vu. And then when the Bengals came out, boom, square, they lost. They did last time. Browns one is playing,
They played Jacksonville yesterday.
Browns, last time. Browns played it, I think.
Browns played the Eagles 2 weeks ago.
And they won that game.
Yep.
Now, this is another deja vu. The Browns played yesterday. They
Yep.
won that game. But what did we do? We lost twice.
Yep.
We lost by
Well-
the same score, won by 2 points. Yeah, won by 2 points. Yeah.
Well, we did have, because I don't always like to be negative. Let's talk about something positive from yesterday. In the game yesterday, there was a 103-yard kickoff return.
Oh, yeah, that's made history. That's what made history.
Why is that history, Melvin?
Nobody's never ran it back out of the end zone like that. 198.
So the record for the Bengals was 102 yards, and it was by 3 different people. Can anybody name those 3 people? Larry, do you know any of the 3 people that had a 102-yard return? No?
I'm stuck on that for right
Melvin, how about it?
now. I'm stuck on that for right now. They say he was the only one that did run that.
He's the one that did 103 yards, but there's 3 people that did 102. Linda, out there listening, can you name any of the people for the Bengals that had 102-yard returns? We had 2 that were interceptions and 1 that was a kickoff return. Mr. Hill, how about it? You're not a football fan?
No.
Ah,
Hey, as a matter of fact,
All right.
that's the second time he done ran one back like that. But not for that much yardage.
yeah, he's really good. He's a really good kick return. Well, the first time it happened, 102 yards, I was watching this game on TV. It was the year the Bengals went to the Super Bowl for the first time.
Oh.
And Lewis Breeden intercepted Dan Fouts at the goal line and returned it 102 yards for a touchdown.
And then Coach McGregor.
Yes, Forrest Gregg was the coach back then. Yep. And then the kick returner, who's actually the assistant coach for the Kansas City Chiefs. So he's the offensive coordinator. So he won a Super Bowl ring last year. Eric Bieniemy had a 102-yard kickoff return. Yeah, he was a good running back for us for a few years. And then the most recent one was cornerback Archell Hawkins, who played at UC, and he had an interception return of 102 yards. Yeah, that was I think his brother Andrew Hawkins, who was a wide receiver. Yeah.
He's at the Bengals when we joined up with them.
So let's talk about a few other games from yesterday. So we'll wait till Ebony comes back because I know she want to talk about the Browns. But how about you mentioned earlier the Kansas City Chiefs and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
But that's what the Cleveland Browns played the Buccaneers a couple weeks back. That's what I'm saying. We lost that game. Browns played the Buccaneers.
Yeah, I believe.
They won that game.
Well, the game last night was the battle of the GOAT, Tom Brady, and the new guy on the block, who's the new GOAT, Patrick Mahomes. And Patrick Mahomes had quite the game. He had over 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, and his wide receiver, Tyreek Hill, had wow. I mean, the first quarter, 3 touchdowns and over 200 yards receiving, and he just had a phenomenal game.
You know, it's just like when girl was there before he got injured. And we played, I was playing Pittsburgh. She was. You just got you know, bro was doing pretty good once again. He's doing pretty good.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
he did. You're right about that.
In the game yesterday, he
Against
wasn't a
Giants.
bad quarterback. He was doing his job. But I still got the position.
Now, did any of you watch the Denver Broncos play the New Orleans Saints? Anybody know what was the story in that game?
Yes, sir, I do.
What was the story?
Hey, they just stuck a quarterback in the game.
That's right.
They played.
Denver did not have any available quarterbacks because of the COVID protocols. So, and I apologize. Linda, I could lose you online. I got a little battery issue with this computer, so hopefully I keep you here a little longer. But if I lose you, I apologize. I'm flying solo today. All my help is busy today. Um, but yeah, they didn't have any quarterbacks, so they had running backs playing quarterbacks. A guy who was a wide receiver playing quarterback. How'd that game end up? Not too good, did it?
I don't know exactly how it ended up, but they put some fines on somebody.
Did they?
Yeah.
I think they lost like 31-3. It was a tough.
And I mean, they didn't go it.
Yes, yes.
And I mean, they just go it.
What's that?
I believe this again and again. The Bengals really get down this year. We'll be back on the.
I think they'll be back next year. But yeah,
And have a good defense. Defense get out.
well,
They need to step it up.
I'm going to talk about a couple of things that were just happened in the last week that were kind of landmark occasions for women and diversity in sports. So the first thing was on Saturday, Sarah Fuller, who she's very good, Tony. She's the kicker for Vanderbilt. She's the first female kicker in a Power 5 college football game, and she got to do a kickoff. And Linda, that is correct. The first female kicker in a Power 5 game.
And I had to look at their uniforms twice. Because physically I thought they were four. And I said, man, I thought she was kicking the other day. I had to look at the uniforms again.
To see what team it was. That was Vanderbilt. And we know what else was cool was that at halftime, Vanderbilt was losing, I think, 21-0. And she asked the team if she could speak. And she gave a halftime speech to try to motivate them. Unfortunately, they were just overmatched and they lost. But earlier in the week, she had won. She's the goalie for Vanderbilt, and the girls' team won the SEC conference tournament in soccer. So she's the goalkeeper, and she got to be the kicker. And she's just phenomenal. And Linda says here, saw an interview, and she's sticking around as long as they want her. And so I got a feeling she might be around for a little while. So I thought that was awesome to see. And then the Cleveland Browns yesterday, we were talking about Cleveland earlier. They had a female coach. She was the first female position coach to ever be a part of a game. And so she was the tight ends coach when they played Jacksonville yesterday. And I guess she had played in an all-female football league. And then she did an internship with one of the New York teams and was eventually hired on with the Cleveland Browns and got to be the position coach yesterday, which was really cool. So it's awesome to see women in sports and the steps, because I know in the NBA they've already made progress. There's a female coach at the San Antonio Spurs and women in some of the front office positions. But never really before in football you start to see female referee, but to see female coaches is really cool to see now. And then the other one, which was really cool, I wasn't here for last week's show, but I believe it was the Monday night game. It was an all African American officiating crew, which was really cool to see. And they did a phenomenal job. So it's great to see all this diversity that's taking place, especially in football and in sports in general. Those were three things I wanted to kind of point out because I thought those were really cool. Yes, Mel.
Eagles together. They come back out this week. Miami. Everybody gonna be like paying attention and saying something, man. Because too small, they got the young quarterbacks out of college. A man, that's one.
Yeah.
And the one St. Louis. But not Carolina, but got the young quarterback, Hills. They got beat yesterday.
I'm not sure who you're referring to.
They got the young quarterback, the one that throws that.
Oh, Herbert, Justin Herbert. Yes.
That's for Arizona.
And that's Kyler Murray's with Arizona. His team lost.
Yeah,
Justin Herbert's with the Los Angeles Chargers, and his team lost.
That's right. That's why they're,
And then Tua Tagovailoa did not play. He's on Miami. He was hurt yesterday. Yep.
Yeah, that's okay. You know, you try to win the most games that you got left on the schedule. That's the most important. But I already know the Bengals going to get some good draft choices. I
Well,
already know.
we're going to transition for a minute from football to baseball for just 1 minute there, because my all-time favorite college football player was Tim Tebow, and he is coming back again this year to try to make it in baseball with the New York Mets. Tony, you're not a Tebow fan. I said Tim Tebow, and you put your head down. I know he beat my beloved Bearcats in the Sugar Bowl down in New Orleans, but he was quite a quarterback back in his day.
oh, the Hall of Fame against the Hall of Fame game.
Yeah.
Against the Hall of Fame football game.
Now Ohio State hasn't played. Ohio State didn't get to play because what's that?
They canceled the game.
Yeah, they canceled the game, and UC's game was canceled. So, and Bill's team, unfortunately, the Texas Longhorns lost. So it was I think Alabama won the Iron Bowl over the weekend against Auburn. But as far as locally, not a lot going on in college football because of COVID-19. Yes, Melvin.
When Tebow and Love had the same interest in playing two sports.
Yeah, he was playing football and baseball. Well, he didn't really get back into baseball until his football career came to an end. So he played quarterback for the Denver Broncos for a while. He even won a playoff game. But
Didn't he offer him another chance to come back?
they got a new coach, and the new coach went in a different direction. And I think he tried to make it with the Eagles, and that didn't happen. So he took a turn at baseball. And Linda sent me a note saying Ohio State should be playing Michigan State this weekend. And Larry, I need a prediction. Ohio State against Michigan State. Who's going to win?
26.
What's the score going to be?
27-26.
27-26. And who's going to win?
Ohio State.
Ohio State. Larry's picking the Buckeyes. He's starting to come around. I like that. Hey, also, we got Ebony back. Ebony, so your Browns won yesterday, and they looked really good. They had